Welcome to everyone. On the behalf of the Sand Hill Neighborhood Association, this is our monthly meeting day, and your attendance is greatly appreciated, especially to the candidates of the mayoral race of the city of Augusta. We thank you for accepting our invitation for the worthy cause. But it's the community to know you, who you are, and what you are about. So once again, we would like to thank you and all for your presence. And once again, we would like to announce that on every fourth Thursday in the month at 6 o'clock at the Sand Hill Neighborhood Center, we have a neighborhood association meeting. And all is welcome at any time because your presence always helps to make the Augusta area, the Richmond County area, a better, safe, and a beautiful place in which to live. Right now, I would like to introduce to you the moderator for the evening. He is a wonderful, caring pastor of this church, Mount Canaan Missionary Baptist Church, Greater Mount Canaan Missionary Baptist Church, located here at this location where we are today, Sand Hills area at the Willow Road. And I know he'll welcome you at any time to be present on Sundays at any time with his and his congregation. He is an instrument to the Sand Hill community, which we greatly appreciate. His input in all the things that he represents this community with the Sand Hill community. Thank him. And now I present to you here the Reverend Dr. Victor Thomas of the Mount Canaan Baptist Church.
We want to welcome all of you here at this forum, and we thank God that He has allowed us to come. I hope that everybody can hear clearly. We believe that if we all work together, we can continue to move forward. We want to welcome all of the candidates here this evening, and we pray that when we leave, that we will know a little bit more about you as an individual and why you are interested in leading the second largest city in Georgia. We thank you for coming, and we hope and pray that all goes well. Before we get started, we're going to ask each candidate, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself, starting here with Lucas Johnson, and tell us why you want to be mayor of Augusta. Thank you.
Thank you. For those of you who do not know, my name is Lucas Johnson, and I'm aiming to be your next mayor. A little bit about myself. I was born here, spent all of my adult life here, graduated from Augusta University, currently raising my young family right here in Augusta, and I'm proud to call Augusta home. You know, that being said, Augusta's got a lot of great things going for it. However, there's a few things that concern me. As someone who lives, works, and is raising a family, the consistent pattern of mismanagement within Augusta city government is flat out unacceptable. I see we have problems with infrastructure, underperforming schools, higher crime rate than some of our neighboring counties, and it's just flat out unacceptable. But what I do aim to do is bring honesty, transparency, and accountability to all corners of city government. I believe that if we do that, work with our local leaders, work with our local community partners, and aim to better leverage our civic synergy, we can better understand the needs of our constituents and build a better and brighter future for the city of Augusta. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and to Pastor Thomas, to the Neighborhood Association of Sand Hills. My name is Garnett Johnson, and thank you again for this opportunity. I want to apologize early in that we had a pre-commitment that was scheduled, gosh, over a month ago that causes me to leave early. But I just want to tell you, I'm passionate about leading this city because Augusta needs change. My background is in business, and I tend to take a more, I guess, conservative approach as it relates to taxpayer dollars. Therefore, I believe that the government's responsibility is to make sure that we handle your dollars in a fiduciary manner. I don't know if that's been done today, but as your mayor, my platform is based on 3 simple terms. I repeat them all the time. It's growth, action, and results. We need someone to grow our tax base, to grow our confidence, to grow our economy, to grow our small businesses. We need someone that's actionable to you, the taxpayer. Someone that's actionable to you. We need someone that's results-oriented. I've been a lifelong salesperson, and I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. So my name is Garnett Johnson. I was born and raised in South Augusta. I love this community, and I look forward to earning the opportunity to be your next mayor. Thank you again.
Good afternoon to Pastor Thomas and this great church and this Sand Hill Neighborhood Association. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. I'm no stranger to you on Sand Hills, no stranger to Augusta. My name is Marion Williams. Was elected here in Augusta for over 16 years as a county commissioner. I served 2 terms as Super District 9 and 2 terms as District 2. I've been fighting for this community the whole time I've been there. In the 16 years I was elected, I missed 2 meetings out of the whole 16 years because I was concerned, because I love this community. Why do I want to be mayor? The reason I want to be mayor because I think we need to have someone with a vision for this city, not only just a vision, but somebody who can bring some economic ideas and put them on the table. We're no different from any other city in the United States. We all got problems, we all got crime, we all got drugs, all that stuff is all around the United States. What Augusta needs, I think, is a mayor who may not have any power, but at least keep it on the agenda so you and you and you will know what is going on. Too many times stuff gets voted on, we don't know what was even voted on or even who voted because everything is hush-hush. But the government belongs to the people. And because it belongs to the people need to know what's going on. There's a lot of stuff that's happening even today and has happened that the people either going to sleep about or don't know about. But I aim to change that. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Lori Miles, and I am a 40-year transplant here. I came here at the age of 18 to come to college and play basketball. And of course, I decided not only to get married here, which I've been married now for over 37 years, and of course, I'm a mother, grandmother, and I am the next mayor of Augusta. Thank you.
Good afternoon to the fabulous church for allowing a minute of introduction seeking the mayor of Augusta, the home of the Masters Golf Tournament. I lived in Augusta since 1961 when George P. Butler High School and Augusta Tech was built. A graduate of Butler in 1966. Part of the academic course of a graduate of Augusta Technical College twice. Electronic technology, which at the time became the academic course of the school, and communications technology. Good day. Again, I'm Robert Ingham, running for the mayor of Augusta Municipality. I want to wish all the church members a hearty welcome for the opportunity to speak to you. Because of the COVID, it modified the way things are to prevent its spread. I want to be a goodwill ambassador for the second city in Georgia founded by Oglethorpe, well along the Savannah River, being more than a buffer state for the Spanish, the youngest colony. Thank you for your time and have a great day.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Kendrick, and I am a candidate for the 85th mayor of Augusta, Georgia. I'm a native of this neighborhood, and the question was, why do you want to be mayor of Augusta? I want to provide hope for not only this neighborhood, but neighborhoods all across Augusta, that things can be different in our communities. We have a community here that is blighted, that is working itself out of a situation that it didn't ask to be in. There are investors and speculators who come into our neighborhoods and they do things that don't promote what we know it used to be a great neighborhood to bring folks up in, and I think that can change. You sent me down to the tax commissioner's office about 13 years ago to make some changes there. You sent me to an office that had poor facilities, it had poor employees, and it had an attitude that didn't serve. We changed that. And we can change the attitude of what's going on in Augusta's government as well if we continue to look for people who've demonstrated that they've done this before. So I ask, when you're looking to search for who to vote for, choose someone who's done what you've asked them to do before. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for having me here. I'm Charlie Hanna. I'm your current school board president, and I'm a lover of Augusta. I'm a business owner, I'm a family man. And I want to be the mayor of Augusta simply because I believe that somebody needs to return integrity, dependability, and honesty to that office. Somebody that you people, my people, can depend on. Somebody that has a vision for our students to help our economic foundation. I believe that the greatest path that we can take to make Augusta a better place is through our education system, and for our city to partner with our education system to train up our kids in different trades, medical, technical, agricultural, everything that's in need right now that's hard to fill. The Richmond County school system is the beginning of economic development. We train what's necessary to keep our city vibrant. And it's time that we partner and make that more viable for more people in Augusta. So I want to be the mayor of Augusta to expand our education footprint, to give our young kids more opportunities, and to empower our economic base. Thank you.
We thank all of you for expressing why you would like to be the mayor of Augusta. Once again, the radio station that you can view or listen to the live stream is 88.7. For those of you sitting in your cars, you can turn your radios on 88.7. What we will do, we will have a list of questions. Each individual will be allowed to go first. We will start here. And we will move. Insist on continuing. Hopefully we won't have that. We want to be fair. We will not get personal. We will not get indignant. Let's have a good forum. Amen. The purpose of this forum is to see how communities like Sand Hill fit into the plans to move Augusta forward. Sand Hill is just a representative of overlooked communities in Augusta. You have Turpin Hill, May Park, Hasburg, Bethlehem, and other communities. We are interested in how can neighborhoods that have been overlooked play a major role in moving Augusta forward. First question. It appears that productive ideas are discussed during the commissioner meeting, but after the discussion, those valuable ideas become stifled along political and racial lines. As mayor, what would you do to see some of those ideas become reality? Lucas Johnson.
Sure. Some of the first things that the mayor can do is, as many of you know, the mayor doesn't have a whole lot of power, but what he is an advocate for all citizens of Augusta. And during commission meetings, if an idea gets construed or something drags on or gets pushed off the agenda, it's up to the mayor to keep that on the agenda, to see it through. A few other things that the mayor can do that I aim to do is to, if there's an idea, if there's bickering between commissioners and whatnot, we've got to set aside the differences and be willing to communicate, even if that means swallowing a little pride, to find common ground, find out what we can do, and make a fair compromise that would be best for the idea, for the city, and specifically the neighborhood or whatever that agenda item may be. Thank you.
I've said all along that it takes leadership to get things done, and you have to have a person of action. If you look at my background in business, you need a mayor that's at the table with every deal. In business, it's always our goal to get what we call the C-suite, to get all the way to the top. Making sure that you have consensual relationships with a bipartisan approach, whether it be black or white, whether it be liberal or conservative. With my background, I promise you as your mayor, I have the connections with the people to get these communities moving forward. Now, you guys, I'm gonna be honest, you're fortunate in that this neighborhood is trending in a positive position. You have speculators, which means your taxes are gonna continue to grow and increase, and it's gonna create what I call difficult opportunities for you to maintain your property. Around Augusta, so many of those neighborhoods aren't that fortunate. We continue to have blight, property values are depressed, crime is rampant. But I see this neighborhood as one in transition. As your mayor, I want to make sure that we uplift every community in this city. You have a mayor that's at the table to get things done in a consensual way that can reach across the aisle, whether it be Democrat or Republican, black or white, and that's who I am. I've been able to do that in business. I don't sell the black, I don't sell the white, I don't sell the Democrat, I don't sell the Republican, I sell to everybody. And as your mayor, that will be my approach. Thank you.
I really think that's a great question. First of all, this community, along with other communities, need to know when you got an issue, when you got a project or something of that magnitude that you need to fulfill and make sure it happens. First thing you need to do, you need to come downtown. You don't need to just wait on your elected official to handle that situation for you. Too many times the elected body get to plan for people. You can't do that. You got to plan with people. You got to bring people in and discuss and talk with them about whatever it is that you're talking about doing, whether it be a economic development situation. You just don't place it in a position. I just heard a few minutes ago say that this area is transition, and it is. But it's raising the tax on folks who can't afford to raise their taxes at this time, because of the stuff that's being built around them is not compatible with the stuff they already had for 200 years. And when you change that, you increase the tax value for sure, but you run their taxes up and they end up being forced to leave out. So I say again, if you're not at the table, you're on the table. And to keep from being on the table, you need to be at the table to be able to discuss and talk about any particular project that you think will be sufficient or viable in your community. Thank you.
On yesterday, while speaking to the Republican women of the city of Augusta, one of the things that I told them, which is also a part of my platform is the pink vote. Most say, what are you talking about? Well, as I told them in this way, I said, of course, the pink vote, of course, is just like what the Pink Panther was or what the pink elephant in the room is. It's that one subject. Those are the subjects that many people do not want to discuss. Well, the pink vote, as I stated, my platform is number one. No community shall be left behind. Not only that, we all need to make sure that while all of the money is coming into the city of Augusta, as I told them, if there's a roundabout up here that looks this way, then I expect the same one to look the same way on Milledgeville Road. Yes, we need to attack these things. Yes, we need to attack economic development. But you have to remember, some things are already foundational. Money is in the house. All we need to do is apply it, and we need the accountability, and you need a mayor and the leadership and the person that's not afraid to ask the questions. Thank you.
A goodwill ambassador as mayor. Productive ideas in the commission divided by culture. And items such as Lock and Dam, Regency Mall, and abandoned houses in the inner city is still a situation. An idea to welcome and re-welcome surrounding communities to shop in Augusta community. What happened to the new Brown Arena? A goodwill ambassador as Augusta, Robert Ingham. The number of cultures that is in Augusta reaching for a consensus. Again, I am Robert Ingham, looking to be a goodwill ambassador as mayor of this municipality.
When looking to have a neighborhood like Sand Hills not be left behind as you move into this era we are, it's going to take someone who advocates for you in this neighborhood. Several years ago, the neighborhood and some of the churches came to me and asked, how can we do something more in this neighborhood? And so I was able to bring the Housing and Community Development Director here to meet with the neighborhood, to meet with the association, and thus a process was started to again revitalize this neighborhood with a neighborhood plan. That plan had been put on the shelf. It had been done 2 decades ago and sat there with dust on it in this community for years. But somebody knew what to do to get that back active. This is not the time to practice with folks who are trying to figure out how to advance our community. It is time to make sure someone understands how to put you in a position where people aren't just talking about improving your community, they're actually doing it. And so Sand Hills never has to be behind when there's advocates for it. You have good commissioners who are advocating for your community right now, and Jordan Johnson and Commissioner Francine Scott, but it takes more than 2. It takes 6 to move things downtown. And I promise you, with me at the helm for you, this community will continue to prosper and move forward. Thank you.
What has to be done is the mayor has to follow up and follow through. That is crucial. It's similar to my experience right now with the school board. Once something is approved, it's incumbent upon the board president and the superintendent to follow up and follow through. And sometimes you have glitches, sometimes you have slowdowns, but at the end of the day, once a promise has been made, once an initiative has been passed, you need a mayor to make sure that he does his job and follow up and follow through. Perfect example is that whenever we do any type of investments in our school system, we look at equity. We look at the schools, the neighborhoods that need certain items that others may not. And that is where we put our resources. That's the type of mayor that I would be. I would look at equity in reference to what I advocate for in the distribution of our projects and our dollars. Thanks.
Question 2, Garnett Johnson. Do you think the appearance of downtown is striving or needs a makeover? What, if any, changes would you make?
That's a very good question. And our downtown needs a major improvement. I hear often as the model used to be for Augusta to go downtown to the Riverwalk. Often when people go, they say that does not represent a city, in that there are a lot of broken bricks, a lot of damaged planters, and on Broad Street there's a lot of vacant and blighted buildings, and there's a lot of trash. Now we have some projects that are on the board, some tier projects that are going to redesign Green, Broad, and Telfair streets. But you need leadership to keep that going. You got to create funding to get our Riverwalk back into a condition to where we could call it something that we're proud of. Right now we don't have that. So as mayor, I will be focused and committed on creating the opportunities and the appearances. So as we try to create these economic development opportunities, as we bring people to our city, we're proud to call Augusta a beautiful city, in that we're proud that we're maintaining our roadways and we're maintaining our planters, and we're doing all of those things. So Augusta downtown needs some significant improvements. There's a lot of momentum moving in that direction, but there's still a lot of blight and there's still a lot of areas of concern. Thank you.
Again, I think that's a great question. I've been advocating for some time about downtown and how it looks. In fact, downtown looks like a forest. If you go downtown, you can't look from one side of Broad Street to the other one because there's so many trees. Now, I know we got some tree huggers in here. If you want to hug a tree, then do that. But downtown ought to look like a thriving downtown. You can't see the vegetation that's overgrown. Even when the James Brown statue was there, had we not moved the vegetation, you passed by the statue, wouldn't even know it was there. So there's a lot of work need to be done downtown. Not just downtown, you're talking about the Riverwalk. There's no reason for people to go to the Riverwalk. I heard someone say, and I think it was on the news, about doing what they're doing in Savannah, building shops and stores on the river downtown, where the Corps engineer would not let us do that. But if you don't understand government, you'll think, well, why are we not doing what they're doing in Savannah? There's so many stipulations in this government that a lot of us don't know anything about. We got so many boards, we got so many authority. When you develop an authority, you better know what you're doing. Because once you develop an authority, you got no say-so. You're just there. Getting back to downtown, do it need revising? Yes, I think it does. There's a plan that was in the newspaper. You might have seen it back a year or so ago. The plan was talked about building a deck over the middle of Broad Street where the cars park in the middle of it. The commission never even talked about it, never had discussion. The newspaper had it all over the newspaper. We never talked about it. Because certain people get in your ear and tell you, we don't need to do that. We need to stay over here. And that's why we're in this position now. But you have to keep it on the agenda, keep it in front of their face, and let them know we're going to make some changes that's going to grow our city for everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need to let you know that years ago, our former mayor, Ed McIntyre, was an agent of change. He brought about a paradigm shift. When it came to downtown and the Riverwalk and some of those things, he brought his idea to the table. He made sure, number one, everyone collaborated. And once they collaborated and decided that they were going to communicate and see Augusta go to a new level, then everybody jumped on board. And guess what? There were boards there, and there were different authorities there. And now we're sitting here, we have the same thing, we have the same potential, but what's happening is we've been dealing with the same picture, and that picture has not been moving. It's time for us to start not only asking questions, but seeing leadership become effective. It's time for us to see downtown preserved like other cities. Being a person that is from Memphis, Tennessee, we all know it's a historic city. But Augusta, almost everything started here in Augusta. When it came to slaves and things of that sort, making brand new avenues for everyone, it started here. It's time for us to highlight those areas, highlight the Savannah, highlight where we come in and where we start. Ladies and gentlemen, we're looking for a leadership that is ready for not only all of Augusta to change, but also to change Augusta through its preservation and finish a vision that started years ago. Thank you.
Question is, do you think is striving to improve Augusta? The old Chamber of Commerce building ran down Broad Street. I remember some of my overseas work, and it looked very familiar except for the structure itself. I would like to be a goodwill ambassador as mayor of Augusta, Robert Ingham. Businesses are on the brink of prosperity. The Gideons on the first Friday of each month go down on 13th and Broad Street and hand out Bibles to let them know that they're not forgotten, but well on their way. If
Brother Ingram, were you talking to Mike?
If someone came to you with a proposal to build a new piece of public infrastructure in our city, roads, bridges, how would you evaluate whether that project was worth implementing? New Brown Arena, can the community support it? Can Mayor Devaney live down the new lights and fixtures and holes in the roads with bankruptcy in mind for the city? Is it not disgusted but Augusta? I leave half my time for you to think over for the half the time that I was allowed to speak. Thank you.
The revitalization of our downtown inner core is vitally important. The city center is typically considered the heartbeat of any community. When you have family and friends come to town, most times when cities you go to visit, you want to go and you want to see their downtown. You want to see what they do for fun, what do they do to show visitors. But that can't be done at the expense of our neighborhoods that are all around at the very same time. Downtown has had money allocated toward it. We have a project that's going on that your sales tax dollars is paying for, where $20+ million is going to fix all that is wrong with the infrastructure in downtown. What's more important are the outskirts of that downtown as well, because we can't leave those parts unfinished as well. So while I believe downtown is important for us when we're introducing it to our community, people outside of our community, I can't believe that we can forget those places outside of that central business district that need help as well. We got to go a little further than the business district and go downtown, what we used to call downtown, down to East Boundary. We've got to use downtown that's not just on Broad Street, but go over to Laney Walker. We've got to call downtown not the business district, but go up to Millage Road. All of those are parts of what we consider downtown, and all of those need the attention from our community.
Yes, I agree with most of the sentiments that has been expressed here. Downtown is our central business district, and it is important for our economic development initiatives. But at the same time, we have to take care of the corridors that lead into downtown. We have to take care of the main roads, the Gordon Highway, the Dean's Bridge, the Peach Orchard Road, all that lead downtown. We have to uplift and beautify those areas so, you know, it can match what downtown is about to become with the current investments. At the end of the day, we have to, as a government, support and invest in the existing businesses downtown. And we also have to deal with the vacant or negligent landlords that refuse to fix up their properties or work for the city to make the area better. I will be the type of mayor that will be pushing for those type of policies. Thank you.
Question 3, Marion Williams.
Hey, got one more. Oh, I'm sorry. That's all right. No worries. Thank you. There is more to Augusta than just downtown. Now that being said, downtown is probably the heart of Augusta, and while it is thriving some, there is so much more to be done. Downtown is an asset, but if we're not careful, it's going to turn into a liability. To do so, we must continue to tighten the screws on the blighted property owners to maintain their property and get it back up to code. We must continue to repair our infrastructure, our sidewalks, our street lights down there, and by doing so, in addition to fixing our infrastructure and cleaning up downtown as well as all the corridors going into it, we will lay the footwork for private business to come in to where they want to open up a business and make downtown an even more thriving place. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 3, Marion Williams. I've been in many cities and I've never seen it so overwhelmingly blatant like it is in Augusta. What would you do to improve the cleanliness of Augusta? Augusta gets a wholesale cleanliness during 1 week of the year. What would you do in order for that to continue so our city can stay clean the whole year long?
Again, Pastor Thomas, thank you for that question. That's something that's very dear to my heart. It's about changing the aesthetics of this community. If you look around where we are now and you go to another part of the city and you see beautification. I remember when the commission took a trip and we rode the bus together and we looked around and we saw, we traveled different districts. And I said to the newspaper, I said, on the trip I saw all of the azaleas and dogwood trees, but in my community all I see is dogs because they run up and down the street. We have not put the attention on the rest of the city. Now during the Week of the Masters, we clean up. But we got to hold people accountable. We can't sit there and say, well, that's where they want to live. Our codes need to be changed. Our directive as far as our economic development and the code enforcement need to have some more strength put into their hands. We let people, birds have plant trees. What do you mean by birds plant trees? Birds will defecate on the side of the fence and it grows up in the fence and we leave it there. Other communities don't do that. We let that happen. We've got to be the one to stop that. We've got to be the one to say no more. We're not going to tolerate. The mayor ought to be able to bring everything on the agenda, to bring every department in, to make sure we got people driving trucks all around Augusta to see blighted furniture on the street and trash on the street. Nobody even reports it as if it's not even there. Somebody needs to be held accountable for those things. So I think the mayor ought to be able to bring them in and at least hold them accountable for them. We got folks who just don't care about our city, and we got to make sure if you work here, you live here, you got to take care here.
May I speak on behalf of the underdog? Some of those people who actually own those houses, those blighted properties. Some of those people who actually own those blighted properties, we have to remember something. If they step in and decide that what they're going to do is to make sure that they take that information or take those houses away from them, then what's going to actually happen is we're going to see their houses be sold and taken from up under them at the prices of $10 and $15 and $25 and then sold back to others for maybe $25,000 and then they make money. So my thing is, we need to make sure before we run in, we need to find out what's going on. Let's track down these taxpayers. Let's track down these people who are actually losing their homes. Because what's happening is, some of them, that's all that they actually have left in their families. Last but not least, as we continue to make Augusta beautiful, as I said, no neighborhood shall be left behind. Let's work on the corridors, the byways, and of course, not just this side, but all sides of the city of Augusta.
Downtown is a thriving asset versus a liability. We should always think positively of the direction we're going. What would you do to improve the cleanliness of Augusta, the Garden City of the South? I remember my father-in-law, through marriage of my two sisters to two brothers, Albert Hornsby. He was hiring and crossed the line of culture and got away with it because maybe he was a World War II veteran, which was an overwhelming victory, except for those people that had to serve and knew the difference of what was going on. I love Augusta. The armband represents the Ukraine, the colors. A goodwill ambassador of Augusta as mayor. I'm counting on you locating my name on the ballot, and please spread the word that it will be there, as well as some of my signs in town. Thank you for your time.
Citizens get what they want when they elect people who make your priorities their priorities. If you're asking for your neighborhoods to be cleaned up more diligently, it's going to require that you elect people who make your priority the very same. So we have a shared responsibility in that if I haven't made demands of the people who represent me and saying, I need you to make this neighborhood more clean, then that is partly my problem as well. We have to demand of our elected leaders that cleaning up is a priority for our communities. We call ourselves the Garden City, and yet we look like a place that has nothing resembling a well-kept garden. That is a priority thing. That is a leadership thing. If it is the number one thing in which you think is important for this community, it is incumbent that we demand of those leaders to do that. Now, I know this particular neighborhood is in need of that type of cleanup. There's blight, there's overgrown lots, and all of those things the government can have an effect on. I plan to make it a priority for me, but I think it's incumbent that we all make it a priority amongst all of our elected officials that keeping our community clean, and when we invite someone in our house, we want it to look presentable, and right now it never does.
I think it is the role of the mayor to make sure that this city remains clean and beautiful. I can remember back in the 80s where I would drive down Gordon Highway, Deans Bridge Road, Peach Orchard Road. We had beautiful landscaping out there throughout the year. Down Green Street, you had matter of fact, for 2 summers I worked on the gardening crew. And our job was to go down there, pull weeds and fertilize and make new plants. These things aren't happening anymore because of, I would say misplaced priorities. And I will piggyback off Mr. Kendricks here. It's hard to be called the Garden City if we're not taking care of our gardens. And as mayor, I would be the one to push for equity, not equal, but equity, and how we keep our city beautiful. Because some areas of our city get more resources than others. But at the same time, I will also be the mayor that holds each community accountable. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of our place. It's going to take all of us to make this happen. And I will be the mayor that you can come to the table and ask for the resources. And I will go to our commissioners or our department heads, department directors, and ask, what can we do? Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. Some of the first things I'd do is I'd want to meet with the Marshals Department and Code Enforcement and ensure that they have all the resources they need to better battle litterers and blighted property owners so they can cite accordingly and help tighten the screws on those litterers and blighted property owners to help prevent littering as well as getting their property back in order. In addition, we all have to get fired up to clean up Augusta. I know that we all must take a helping hand. Heck, I pick up trash up and down in front of my home multiple times a week, and sometimes the best help is at the end of our own arm, in addition to working with our local leaders to help get the initiative going to clean up Augusta. Thank you.
Having a clean city is something that I'm passionate about, and I'm the only candidate that went on the record saying on day one that we're going to create a keep it clean and a pick up the litter campaign, and we need to add teeth to it through enforcement. Now, when I grew up, I didn't grow up with much. We grew up in this old ragged house, but we had pride in how we maintained our yard. We had pride in how we maintained picking up the trash. I operate a business downtown, and I was dismayed just last week as someone standing at the red light in a car. They rolled the window down and threw out an entire bag of trash. Roll the window up, and just drove off. I'm appalled when I ride down the highways and you see, I'm not talking about fast food bags. You're talking about bags of garbage that people just discard. It sits there for weeks. We need better enforcement. This does not cost a lot. It just takes the interest of the people to get out and create what I'll call a pick it up campaign. And as your mayor, that's where we're going to start. Thank you.
Question for Dr. Miles. What would you do to involve the citizens of Augusta to be in the decision-making process?
I have it actually, Pastor, on my platform that one of the things that I plan on doing is to contact those 501c3s, contact those small businesses, bring them to the table. There needs to be a time when there is a briefing during the month. There needs to be a time when they're getting that opportunity and that information is going out to the community. The other thing is, there are over 51 communities in the city of Augusta. Therefore, there needs to be over 51 of these communities actually coming to the table, whoever their representative is. It's great for everyone to have these mayoral forums or these judicial forums. It's great. But what are you all going to do when this is over? What's going to happen after May 24th? Are all the people that are out here campaigning and putting all the signs out, and believe me, it's been truly an investment, but what are we going to do afterwards? That's one thing that I've always done. I've always been face value with the community, and not only that, sir, I believe in becoming a foot soldier and doing what we're supposed to do as far as the leadership of Augusta. We're going to bring them in to the commission chambers. Thank you.
Right. Again, I'm Robert Ingham, and I hope to be a goodwill ambassador as an elected mayor at reaching for a consensus. How do you reach the population to have more input from them? The county commissioners can be affected by their constituency by informing them of what is going on and how it's going to go about. Like new roads in Richmond County are observable, new construction of homes observable, our public safety officers are observable, and active Chamber of Commerce is doubly observable, community meetings are observable. What can Augusta have? Cybersecurity school courses, Dr. Keel promoting Augusta University. These people are very much interested and excited about our community in order to get those students that are so motivated in order to get the background in order to exercise and implement their particular course material into the public. Those people that we do not really recognize until it's almost a total and complete disaster such as the COVID. And there's everything and anything that is said through the media is helping to get that COVID limited and eventually rounded up and squashed to a point where it's nothing more than the danger of the flu. I am Robert Ingham, running for mayor of Augusta. Thank you for your time.
To keep the citizens involved with their government, I will continue to do the things that we've always done and that I've done for the last 13 years. You know, you can tell something about somebody when they come to visit you when it's not time for them to. There's many community senior programs that go on in our community. For the last 13 years as tax commissioner, I went into those senior programs and I dealt and spoke with those seniors during any time they asked. Many of the neighborhood associations that meet right now, and for the last 13 years when I wasn't running for office, I was still there. If you ask most of the pastors in the churches I've visited over the last 4 years, about 80 churches, and not on Sunday because I was running for office. I visited because I wanted to continue to have a dialogue and allow them to know what was going on with me, and so I could find out what their needs are. That needs to continue. You don't need to just see us on days like today. You don't need to just see us when it's time to knock on your door. When you need to see me is when you need something because your neighborhood needs improving. You need that communication. And that doesn't stop for me when I win the mayor's race. It will continue for me as I've done for the last 13 years, not only in this community, but throughout our community.
Being mayor is no different pretty much than the role that I am occupying now as the board president. There isn't a day that I've not responded to 10 to 20 emails or replying back to 10 to 15 phone calls from parents and some students, teachers, and other administrators. I'm at our schools daily. I'm in different community meetings monthly, and that will continue as mayor because that's the only way that I would know what you need, what you want, and how I can better serve you. I will be open and accessible, and you can always reach me by phone, internet, email, any way possible because I need to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. How I want to get more Augustans involved in the decision-making process. I want to hold more discussions with concerned citizens, neighborhood groups, churches, various nonprofits. And I'd also like to have regular town halls so citizens can attend and they can make their concerns heard. You know, to be honest, I'm open to any and all forms of communication to ensure that everyone is heard, whether that be text message, smoke signal, comment box, a town hall. I'm open to anything because I want to make sure all Augustans are involved. Thank you.
Being mayor of this city certainly causes for the opportunity to provide advocacy. If you look at my track record, I believe in getting everybody involved in getting things done, not only through education, but through action. We want to create an advocacy committee to talk about cleaning up the trash. Now, there are already a lot of breakfasts that are offered by several commissioners. We want to continue upon that and expand upon that because there's one thing that I don't hear as we have a lot of these meetings and these community forums is the financial health of our city. As mayor, I'll be proactive in providing you financial data as to how we're performing, how our sales tax collections are coming in, how we're doing regarding building our tax base, because the health of the city surrounds you as a taxpayer, and how we're being accountable and how we spend those dollars. So that goes through advocacy, that goes through committee involvement, that goes through you, the voters, and as your mayor, I will continue to grow that. Thank you.
Reverend Thomas, I was waiting on some debate questions. I don't know if they're going to have any debates. We're just going to come up here and sing a song to y'all, and then we all go home, look like. I've been working for the last 16 years as a commissioner, and you wouldn't know what's going on if it wasn't for my big mouth. Because I've been in the media telling people exactly what's been happening downtown Augusta. You got to keep the people informed. You got to bring the people in. I hear everybody's talking, I'm the last man, I heard all of these nice words, but when people get elected, they forget about who put them in office. They get private numbers. You can't call me on my private number. Well, I don't have a private number. When you say you want to work for the people, you got to engage them people, and you got to be around those people. You can't have, because you say, I don't want my life to be personal no more. I want my life to be exposed to the city of Augusta and probably to the world. But we forget about that. We close at a certain time. My phone rings 24/7. If you call me, I'm going to answer. In fact, I don't even cut it off at night. I just plug it in, let it charge up. But I'm saying that to say that to keep people involved, you got to be with the people. I said you can't plan for people, you plan with people. I plan to send at least 50, maybe 100 people a year from this city to some city to see what they're doing to grow their economic development and then bring it back to our city, and we do it. But see, people, we sitting here talking like everything is fine. Let me tell you, government is like making sausages. You got to beat them up, you got to mash them, you got to squeeze them. But when you fry them on Saturday morning, they taste good with some bacon. And that's where government is. Don't sit here and act like everything gonna be so smooth and fine, because government is just like that, because you represent the people. That's politics. And I'm not a politician, Reverend, because if I was, I wouldn't be saying what I'm saying right now. I'm elected, but I'm not a politician. That's a big difference. I'm not going to trick anybody. And we sit here now tricking the people as if, oh, we're going to sing Kumbaya. No, you're not either, because you can have 4 or 5 other folks singing another song. And you're not going to be heard. But you got to involve the people, engage the people in what is right, what is good for this community. Thank you.
Brother Ingram. If you received $1 million grant to use for the city in any way, what would you do and why?
I believe I copied that from the little iPhone. If you received $1 million grant to use in the city, what would you do? What would you do with it and why? Empty houses, Regency Mall, go to the community for improvements in the neighborhoods. This is only a mild way of saying it, because I've heard that expression with my father.
Put the mic to your mouth, please.
This is a very mild way of putting it, but he described his investments as $1 million sitting up on the table waiting for something to happen. It's an incentive, it's a standard of living, it's a capital way of doing things. It progressively allows certain ideas, with or without a patent, to be able to improve each model as a primary model and increase its value. The miniaturization of electronics is one of them. The space shuttle is another. The miniaturization of satellites, instead of sending one satellite the size of a VW, you can send up 103 satellites at one time, sizes of loaf of breads. Also, the what they call the, you communicate with laser communications. That started with a young fellow about 4 years old looking at a cocktail stirrer and saw an image on the other side, and I had to that was me, very quietly put it back. However, I continued on it through technical school, and they stretched that little glass rod, and it looked like that beam simply became another periscope as a submarine. Now they have communications the size of $1 running from United States to Britain. Not that we needed more communications, but it's more reliable communications. 100 kilometers without increasing the input for having to make it larger. And that's only the beginning of it. I do not have enough time to explain it, because I have over 5,000 hours of time in technical school, half business and half technical, which accentuated a good part of my education. Thank you for your time.
That's a lot of work with $1 million.
I believe we need to use that $1 million to invest in programs that will help our youth by improving some of our park system in our city. We were asked this question a few days ago, and I talked about an improvement of Diamond Lakes Regional Park. If you haven't been in Diamond Lakes Regional Park, you'll see that that is a huge, magnificent asset in which we don't utilize nearly as well because it hasn't been fully developed. I believe money like that to improve those parks so we can use them as economic development drivers. When you bring sports programs to communities, economic development follows. When you bring families together for family reunions at parks, economic development follows. I believe you use those types of monies to improve our park system so that our children, our families can have things that they can do. They can do them outside, they can enjoy, and all of the community can start to improve from that type of investment. Diamond Lakes would be my first one because it is such an asset that needs to be developed. But I grew right up over here next to Big Oak Park, which needs the same type of development as well. All of these parks need more money and more access for us, and I believe that is where we should start if we had that type of money. Thank you.
If I had $1 million grant, I would use that money for job training opportunities for some of our youth, some of our dropouts, and some of our displaced workers. I think we need to invest in our own so they can help rebuild our own. I will also use that money to incentivize some of our private contractors to employ these same people that we are training. Once again, if we can either educate our youth or incarcerate our youth. And I believe in using that money to educate our youth. Thank you.
To preface my answer, give a little story. My wife and I had our anniversary dinner at downtown a few weeks ago, and afterwards we took a walk around downtown. And what we noticed is there's a lot of sidewalks and streetlights that are out and in disrepair. If I had $1 million grant, I would work to start in downtown and go as far outside of downtown as possible. But I'd like to start with revitalizing our sidewalks, streetlights, and also into making the city more a more accessible place for handicapped people and people in wheelchairs, so they can access our city services better, sidewalks, and public transit. Thank you.
Thank you. If I had $1 million grant, I would invest it directly into transportation. I have a headquarter building at the corner of 11th. At the corner of Windsor Spring and Tobacco Road. My office building is the corner of 11th and Telfair. One of the number one complaints I hear from people that live out there is that they don't have access to transportation to find jobs. As you know, right now we're having a crime problem in our city, and that's leading to young people not having access to opportunities. So somehow we got to create an avenue and find continued and more funding to improve our transportation system, whether it be through express busing. Somehow we got to get these people to the jobs so they could continue to invest in themselves, and that's where I would start, in transportation. Providing transportation to our citizens, providing opportunities to our young people, and making it accessible for all of Augusta.
Thank you again. This question was asked last time we was at Diamond Lakes, and I said $1 million is a lot of money, but $1 million when it comes to government is not very much. Because if you're going to enhance something, if you're going to enhance one of the parks, a swing set or something, but if you're going to do something significant, by the time you create an architect or get an architect, by the time you buy some property, your $1 million is just about gone. So you really can't do a whole lot with except access some parks, some infrastructure for bricks and stuff like that. So $1 million don't go too far when it comes to government, because it's government. There's procedures you have to go through. There's check and balances that have to be done because it's government, because it's taxpayer money. But to invest it in small areas, I think that's the only thing you can do with $1 million.
I'm going to take my $1 million and I'm going to go find me an interest-bearing account that's going to start up for the children and for the elderly. There are a lot of holes when it comes to helping and making sure that the elderly of Augusta are being taken care of, and also our children. When this question was asked to us last week, should I say earlier this week, I said, I'm tired of seeing the city of Augusta's children The children we're trying to keep out of the streets, and we're putting them into activities where, number one, they're getting either to dance or they're getting an opportunity for art, drama, things of that sort. What's happening to them is they're having to stand out on the busy streets of the city of Augusta with buckets and with envelopes, asking and begging for money. I don't see this on all sides of the city. So if I don't see that, that means there's a lack in our community. Therefore, I plan on, once again, bringing everyone back to the table, and let's say, what can we do for our children? What can we do for our elderly? Because some of even, let me say this right here, even the elderly, there are some elderly that are not getting the opportunities to go out and to have those different programs that's making sure that they see others, that they actually have that time to communicate with others, because we have forgotten not only the children, but the elderly. So this $1 million will be dedicated and directed to them, but put it in an interest-bearing account so that I won't get taxed. Thank you.
We have seen in Augusta over the past couple of weeks, months, crime rate has gone out of the ceiling. We've seen people get shot, seen drugs all over the area. As mayor, Brother Kendricks, what would you do to curb the crime rate in Augusta?
So I think that our spike in crime rate, a lot has to do with our inability of our current law enforcement to keep enough people there to help us in our communities. If you didn't know, there's approximately over 150 positions open in the local sheriff's department right now. With a staff of over 800 people and that many missing, how can we expect the crime suppression units, the presence of police in our neighborhoods to deter crime if there are not enough officers there for us? Right now, an officer who's on patrol has to leave his patrol and go work at the jail and do a shift in the jail while he's out here supposed to be riding in our neighborhood in Sand Hills. And that's just not here, that's for all our neighborhoods. This goes back to us trying to support as a government our sheriff's office ability to identify, recruit, and retain officers in our community. And most would say that it has something to do with what we're paying them. Now, we've raised the salaries for the sheriff's department. We've given the sheriff additional money, and I think we've gotten competitive. However, it still hasn't seemed to fix the problem. So somehow we've got to find a way to support that effort. You can't expect our crime to decrease at the level in which we want when there's not enough people here making sure that we're safe in our community. So it's a resource issue partly, but again, it's going to take our partnership with that sheriff's office to make sure if we give additional resources that go into the salaries that need to be there to have these officers stay in our community. Right now, they leave, they go work across the bridge, they go work in other counties. We've got to find a way to help that. We got to find a way to make sure that we staff them appropriately. Thank you.
Crime is a major issue throughout this country. And crime is always going to increase or decline in cycles. And we have to be prepared for each time that it increases. I think one of the biggest issues that we have with crime is the lack of respect for authority, the lack of respect for parenting, and also with bad parenting. But as mayor, I can't come in your house and tell you how to parent. I can only encourage you. But that's the issue that we deal with every day at the school board. Disrespectful children and sometimes disrespectful parents. They have a lack of respect for our public safety officers. And we too are challenged with not having enough officers. And it's going to take all of us to help deal with this crime. We all need to be policemen. We all need to be putting our kids in check. And we also need the government to come off the parents' neck and let parents be parents. But as the mayor, I will be the one to hold everybody accountable for what they are responsible for, including my staff. I will also be trying to partner with the sheriff and make sure he has what he needs. Recruiting is an issue. The sheriff department is a great deterrent, but the sheriff department can be a great friend. But at the same time, when you have limited strained resources, it becomes a problem. So that's the discussion that I'm looking to have on a regular basis with the community leaders, the commission, and our sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you. We must ensure that the sheriff's office, as well as the DA, have all the resources they need to fully to help stop crime, as well as prosecute those who do commit crime. As another candidate said, we're about 150 officers short, and there's a few reasons of why, whether that be short of salary, neighboring counties offering more equipment, more training, and to be honest, we should probably think outside the box in addition to giving the sheriff more money, whether that be more neighborhood patrols, cameras, whatever that may be. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure that the sheriff's office and the DA have all of the resources they need to hire all the people they need to ensure that criminals will not be tolerated in Augusta. Thank you.
One of the greatest responsibilities of government is to provide safety and security to their citizens. So I will be in support of providing the sheriff's department with everything he needs to make sure that we fight crime. However, the crime that we're seeing today, it's a proliferation of the gangs. It's young men that are having these retaliatory shootings. We know who a lot of these young men are. We live in this community. We know who these guys are. We know what their track records are. We know what they do. So I think as citizens and as family members, if you have one that's going wayward, we need to start reaching out to those young men. We need to take a more proactive approach with law enforcement by getting back into these communities, starting early, at middle, in elementary school. And I would support any program that takes a proactive community approach to reach these at-risk young men. However, as parents, as uncles, as aunts, as grandparents, you know if your son or nephew is out raising hell in the streets. Don't think he's a saint. So we owe it upon ourselves to make sure that we address those issues and that we take care of them. Thank you.
The Sheriff Department is short of men, and been stated already. The Sheriff Department is ran on half of the city's budget. Half of the total budget of the city goes to the Sheriff Department. We've got the largest Sheriff Department in the state of Georgia, right here in Augusta. We used to have a city jail and a county Sheriff Department. Now they're all consolidated. It's all in one. Am I in support of giving the sheriff what he needs to operate his office? Yeah, I am. But when you look at, and I think Mr. Johnson just said, when you look at the youth that's coming up today, you got babies having babies, and they wasn't trained, and they don't know how to train their child, and their child going to have babies, they're not going to be able to train theirs because they don't know how. So the Sheriff Department is going to have even a harder job than he's got now over the years. Two things I would not want to do. I would not want to be a school teacher or a police officer today because of what was just been stated about the gangs, about the young people who disrespect themselves and everybody else. So you can pour all the money you want to in the Sheriff Department. You can never have too many officers. You can have more you can pay for, but you can't have too many. If you had an officer on every block standing up there, that'd be great. But can you afford to do that? Is that going to stop the crime? We've got to take our own responsibility. We got to go back. You know what your Bible tells you. You spare the rod, you spoil the child. We got too many children that's not respecting their own parents, so they know we got to respect anybody else. Two things I would do, and I'm not with the school board, but if I could change two things in Richmond County School, when you bring John to school for the first grade, if he can't sit down and listen to you, you take him home until he's 50 years old, because don't bring him back till he listen to you. Because if he won't listen to you, he certainly ain't going to listen to me. The next thing it is, when Johnny come to school, every time he mess up, I'm going to sit him outside my class till you leave that job. You leave that job enough time, you're going to make Johnny behave, because that job ain't going to let you either be at the school or be at work. You got to be at work. Thank you.
When I retired in 2018, because I've always been a community advocate, one of the things I decided to do was to go out and find out why teenagers are killing each other. Why is it that the gang violence is growing? So I decided to enroll myself in the Department of Juvenile Justice, and at this point, I am teaching those same kids that are being put in jail every weekend. Now, mind you, some of the ones that are locked up, believe me, thank you Marshal's Department, thank you Sheriff's Department, they do not need to be released. But I also say this, these are also the same third graders and fifth graders that we decided to put a label on and decided to put over there in the corner and not deal with. And now these same third graders and fifth graders who could not read, who did not have the skills to actually be literate, but we decided, because we crowded our classrooms and decided, number one, I can't deal with that one right now, that child has grown up. And the only thing that that child respects is violence. And they respect accountability. I have noticed something with them. Those who create chaos hate chaos. If the room and everything is moving, then the best thing for you to do is to get order. They respect order and they respect protocol. That way, and that's the reason that they actually respect the sheriff's office and they respect policemen. Let me say that because they fear them. Last but not least, I have to say this. I believe the sheriff's office already has a strategic plan to make sure that, number one, the violence in the city of Augusta decreases. I am one who believes, I'm a researcher, so I am one who believes you need to look at the data and then strategically make a decision. It should not be on someone's emotion, but it should be on the fact that we decided to find out what's going on, research it, and implement the plan.
Again, I'm Robert Ingham. I'd like to be the Goodwill Ambassador representing Augusta as your mayor. It's possibly one of the more strongest attributes that will be able to effectively give a better image to our community. What neighborhood do you live in? Why? Where are your favorite places to spend time in our city? Goshen Plantation was modified to Goshen Manor, part of the water golf course and clubhouse. A school is just behind me with a gate on the fence. Backing the blue, that's well understood. In other words, their job, their employment is very rigorous because they see the senior sides of life and give them every opportunity in order to complete their job. In other words, if you get into a car accident, don't bother them as long as they're doing their job. You can take them to court, you can speak to them about it in court. That was referred to me by the late Judge Jenkins. Civil Affairs team, without it, something is lost. Described as a force multiplier. I complained why I could not use my rifle when I was trained in it. What happened is that I did not fire at someone that already was admissible. For 30 years I was in education because of my background in it, not only growing up in the military, but being part of the military, and they wanted me there. You find out that the youth simply adores you simply by being quiet and being present. The Rollins Elementary School was one of their protected schools, so that's why I did not get an assignment there. But the principal saw through that, and then I went down to the lunchroom early in the morning and watched him stand in the crowd so all the students, or as many students as possible in the lunchroom, could see him. And he was picked up eventually, very soon after the Board of Education, letting them know my comments were listened to. It was aware that things were happening, and observance is one of the things we most adore how our students can progress in levels of education, kindergarten, first grade. Second grade, they're one step away from their parents. Where in the world did you get that? Well, I went to a British private school, highly recommended. Other than that, they're from another culture across the sea. They're very close to us because they were once one of the 13 colonies, the youngest colony in Georgia. Thank you.
Brother Hannah, if elected, what 3 steps would you take to put our city on a firmer financial footing? Give specific examples of what you have done and or currently doing to make improvements.
To put our city on a firm financial footing, first of all, we have to have an efficient running government in which each department needs to be accountable, similar to what we have now with the school system. We can account for every single dollar from every single department, and we see those numbers every month. And so I think that's going to be very important, that we understand how our money is working down to the micro level. Also, we have to continue to create opportunities to put people to work. And I believe that the best way to get our people to work is to invest in our homegrown local businesses, to rebuild old communities, and use our existing resources and some of our young adults and misplaced workers. Let's put money in their pockets while they're building our city up. But the last and most important is that when the masters come here, we have to do more than cater to the masters. We have to cater to the world. And that means we have to make sure the entire Augusta is involved in anything that's going on with the masters. And as the mayor, I would definitely be working with our private businesses, our 501s, our nonprofits, our churches. How can we all make Augusta better so the world can see us as just a garden city that needs a garden?
How would I make Augusta on a path to a more firm financial footing? First thing I want to implement is create a comprehensive plan that is created with all, in conjunction with all departmental leaders and commissioners to find out what we do really well and what we stink at. If we can do that, we can fix what we don't do well. Something else is comb through the budget with every departmental leader, see what we can eliminate. Some things, you know, we do without to help another department. And something else that we need to do is take care of our assets before they become our liabilities. Anyone that sees our community centers, our parks, a lot of them need a lot of work. A lot of them are falling apart. If we take care of them now, remodel these places, get them back up to par, we can have nicer parks, nicer community centers and whatnot before they are absolutely dilapidated and cost us a whole lot more money in the end.
Thank you again, Reverend Thomas, and to the citizens of Sand Hill. As I mentioned earlier, I have another engagement, but thank you for this final question as I have to leave. I think leadership takes someone who leads from the front, and I've always said that one of the first things I would do is by turning in the mayor's vehicle, turning in the credit card, pay for my own travel. I want to set an example for what we need to do for this city. Second thing I'll do, and I've said it repeatedly, I'd call for an operational review and an efficiency review of every single department in the city, see how we do things. In the private sector, we can't continue to ask taxpayers to give more when we don't look in-house to see how we can create opportunities and savings for the taxpayer. So I would lead the front by that. Lastly, we need to create economic development opportunities for young business owners, people who aspire to be business owners, so we can grow our tax base, so we won't continue to ask the senior to pay more when inflation is on an increase, gas prices are high, the price of groceries is high. We can't continue to ask the taxpayer to pay more. We need to be able to look as a city and be able to do more in a more, what I call, fiscally responsible way. Thank you again, and I appreciate this opportunity.
Before you leave, Marion, I want to do something right quick. I want to ask one question. I'm going to let you answer both questions. I want you all to answer both questions. One question before you leave.
Certainly.
And all of you all answer the question. After 20 years, what would you do if you had the chance to change the Regency Mall?
That's a great question. You know, the Gordon Highway corridor is one of our most important arteries into the entire city. As mayor, I guarantee within a year that property will be gone, either through a public-private partnership. We need to start redeveloping that corridor to something that provides jobs, it provides opportunities, it provides restaurants for our community. It used to be the Miracle Mile. Somehow we got to get back to that. You know, car dealerships are leaving, more blight, it's coming in. So as your mayor, I think by starting, let's remove Regency Mall and get it cleaned up for the entire city. Thank you.
I'll read the first question over, Miriam, or you still recall what it was?
Go ahead and read the first one over again. I'm focusing on the second question right now, but go ahead.
Which one you want to answer first?
I may answer the second question
Go
first.
ahead, Wise Bernie.
That's been close and dear to my heart, the Regency Mall. We had the opportunity when I was in office as a commissioner, Super District 9, to do something, but folks got in our ear on the other side of town who said, we don't need to do that. We even did a straw poll vote. Straw poll meaning they did something on the ballot, and most people didn't even know what it was. I mean, we didn't know what we was voting on, the way they written it, the proposal up. Well, they want to put it back in the same location. They want to tear that one down, build a new one in the same location for $200+ million. I disagree, but like I always do, I mean, I voiced my opinion. I want to take Regency Mall and build a James Brown Arena there, but not just a James Brown Arena. When you build a James Brown Arena, you got to do something that's going to wow the people. You got to build something that's never been built before. You got to build something when people look at it and say, man, what is this? Folk from all over the world will be coming in here to do that, and other entities will join that. Now, if you build the same kind of building you got on the next block over, you ain't doing nothing. But they don't want to invest in that side of town. Now, I mean, I've been trying to not use this word, but I'm going to have to go there anyway. When you talk about the South Side, then the South Side is negative in a lot of people's mind. We got to build Augusta. Where is that? Regency Mall. Where is that? East Bounder. We got to stop saying west, south, and east and all that stuff. But if you build something there that's going to wow the people, something they've never seen before, something that's going to attract people from all over the world, the hotel, the restaurant, the retail stores, all that's going to follow that. You ain't got to go out and bring them in. They're going to come in themselves. Somebody asked me one other question, Reverend, on the same line, South Augusta now. They said, why we don't have a steakhouse in South Augusta? I said, everybody in South Augusta got a stove. So why would a steakhouse come just for the people who live in South Augusta? You got to have a destination point for people to come, and then those people live out there will buy steaks as well, and the man will be able to make some money.
Here's the second question. If elected, what 3 steps would you take to put our city on a firmer financial footing? Give specific examples of what you have done and or currently doing to make improvements.
Let me tell you what I've done. James Brown is known all over the world. Not because I'm a greater fan than anybody else, but I know this man is known all over the world. What city would have a man that's known all over the world only have one statue? We ought to have several statues around. In fact, I've been talking about putting squares down, Reverend. When you step on the square, it'll light up. You hear James Brown voice say, Papa got a brand new bag. You step on another square, say, please, please, please. That will draw people into your city. We want the economic dollars to come in, so you got to get them in. Same thing with my house. If I ain't got enough money, I got to get a part-time job. I got to do something else. What we're doing, we keep talking about it, but you can't tell me one idea that nobody has brought, even the development authority that's got all these plans, they say, hadn't brought one idea that'll bring economic dollars in. We got I think it's a cement plant and Starbucks out in South Augusta. We got 1,700 acres of land out there with $1 million sitting in the bank right now for infrastructure. But see, y'all don't know that. I've been downtown. So those are the type things we got to do if we're going to change our city. We got to quit talking about it. We got to be about it. And you can't be about it, but if you don't know it, we got $3.5 million put in the bank right now that the finance director said we didn't have such an account. We put $3.5 million in the bank to loan out to small businesses. Not to loan that money, but so the bank wouldn't lose any money. We secured that money with $3.5 million. The finance director said we don't have no program like that. The assistant said we don't have a program like that. I went in my bag and didn't have my information. Willie Mae said, go get your information. I left the 8th floor, went to Gordon Highway and got the paperwork and come back. Willie was still talking to him. I asked him again, so you got a program like that? They said, no. I asked the assistant, said, no. I said, well, what is this? Oh, we forgot. The money is still in the bank today. Nobody talks about it. Everybody want to sing Kumbaya. It's over with. I'm not upset, y'all. Please understand. It's just a passion I got for this community. And I'm sick and tired of folks tricking people. Oh, I ain't going to say nothing else, because I'm going to... All right. All right, I keep passing. Yeah.
Do I need to repeat any of the questions for you?
Which question would you like asked first? Answered.
Which one you want?
Okay, let's go with the one back with the, of course,
the three?
he just left.
Okay.
The 3 things and what you're doing
If
now.
elected, what 3 steps would you take to put our city on a firmer financial footing? Give specific examples of what you have done and or currently doing to make improvements.
To the Sand Hills community, one of the things that we have 10 commissioners, and of course, most of them are saying, let's not have an audit. And they're saying, let's not have an audit because what's going to happen, a lot of things are going to get exposed and revealed. My thing is they're having this opportunity to clean up, so I think they need to step into it. What do I mean by that? Anytime that you can have secretaries making more money than mayors, then what's happening is you already know there's an upside down effect happening here. So what the city of Augusta is going to have to do is, number one, we're going to have to look at our finances. We're going to have to audit. We're also, not to get anyone in trouble, but also to make sure that we can start as a mayor with a 0 balance. Everybody actually needs to look at that so that we can stop hurting the city of Augusta. $187 million came into the city of Augusta just for education. Also, 50.4% of the tax base is from Augusta, from you, is for education. It's on our bills. So why is it? Why is it that our infrastructure and the fact that our children need internet, Wi-Fi, cyber technology, why is it that they can't walk up to buildings and this is already in place? We need to start asking questions. Not so that, number one, someone can get upset. It's so that the leadership can be changed. It's so that Augusta can go forth, so that we can all sit together as one, unified, collaborative in this effect. 1995, Augusta almost went bankrupt. So what they did was, the Department of Justice said, and the way that we're going to do this is, we're going to have to allow your legislators to go there and actually bring the city together. Of course, what do you mean? That means what we needed to do was to take Richmond County, bring them together, and then they are going to get Augusta out of bankruptcy. Well, we brought them together and we said, let's consolidate. It was done. But guess what? We're consolidated on paper, but the city of Augusta is not consolidated as a people.
Second question. What would you do after 20 years with Regency Mall?
Sir, in 2013, or should I say Mr. Moderator, in 2013, if any of you who have these beautiful cell phones and your Wi-Fi and cyber technology works, please put in P as in Paul, D as in door, and F as in friend. PDF, Augusta Sustainability Plan. What happened was they decided in 2013 and 2016 they were going to bring the city together. They were going to bring all of us constituents and all of your leaders together and say, let's find out what we need to do with this property at Regency Mall. Well, they did decide. They decided that there was going to be a lot of green space. There was going to be a walking shopping mart. There was going to be an elderly center that would actually make sure that it did nothing but cater to the elderly. And watch this. This is the part I like. They were also going to build that same beautiful elderly apartment building that's down there close to Lover's Lane. They were going to build that right there in that Regency Mall area. And I need to tell you, City of Augusta, if we would just do what we said we were going to do, then I would be satisfied. And guess what? Augusta would be back on the map again. Thank you.
Brother, do I need to repeat any of the questions, or will you have both of them?
Just enough of them to be able to articulate a little bit on it.
Now, which one are you answering first?
First would be the 3 items that would increase financial stability of the Augusta community. Sand Hills Community Centers, see a visible schedule of activities and invite people, and not only in the neighborhood, but those people who are reaching out for those particular activities. 2 would be nepotism. That was a favorite word of Doug Bernard, an 8-term congressman, dismissed only if better qualifications. Number 3 would allow input from the community, allowing people, suggesting that they could be in a community, a department community area that of their interest, or being appointed by the county commissioners. So we're outnumbered 10-1. So therefore, it would be very feasible in order to seek a better flexibility in communications, doing away, not completely with culture, because we all got that culture because we had to grow up in a particular neighborhood and family area. Number 2, 20 years after Regency Mall, the culture wrapped around the malls. Augusta Mall was very successful, whereas there was a lack and incentive of support of the Regency Mall that was very actively seeking their particular success. I was there at Montgomery Ward. I was a tax office, and I bought a shirt that was unpackaged. I went to one of their business meetings. It says, Ingham's going gun-ho. It was taxes versus death and taxes. You prefer taxes over death every time, of course. That's why I'm still around. And the Augusta Mall, you notice how successful they are. That's because they were supportive. They encouraged other businesses to come in. They encouraged people to come out and shop there. Not only there, but across the street, other strip malls along the highway. I look forward in becoming your next mayor, being a goodwill ambassador. And I'm looking forward to more positive language in order to improve the quality of life in Augusta.
Steve, do I need to repeat any of them, or you have?
I have them both.
Which one are you answering first?
The foundation for our finances. So I'd like to start by saying, ladies and gentlemen, I am not here to make you laugh. I'm here to make you think. You can't be a part of a system that has the financial problems in Augusta, Georgia, and then blame everybody else for the problems. You have to take some ownership, either as to having made the decisions, or consider yourself wholly ineffective in making things work. Our government has financial issues because of the leadership and the decisions that are being made. We need to take a look at our government finances, but you have to have folks who understand how government finances work in order to do so. We all make those very kind of same decisions every day. We have a $1 billion budget that we are dealing with. And yet we are asking folks to go in and make sophisticated decisions about them without having demonstrated they've done things like that. You don't make decisions like that every day when you're choosing someone to do things for you. We've got to redesign our government and realign and place people where they need to be in our government. Technology has changed it. So sometimes we have a department that has 50 people that now needs 40 because the technology is advanced. But guess what? They need some of those people on the work crews out here cutting our grass for us. Those type of operational decisions need to be changed and looked at. And lastly, we need to reduce our duplication of services. It happens in our departments. There's 4 departments that cut grass in the city of Augusta. The recreation department cuts grass, engineering cuts grass. 4 departments cut grass, and yet we can't get the roadways cut. Somehow we've got to figure out a way to reduce that duplication so that we can understand who's responsible for what and not point fingers when something doesn't happen and say it's somebody else. All while your commission is taking a look at it and watching it. I haven't been a part of that system. The systems I've been a part of are effective and get things done, and I'll continue to do that as your mayor. Now, my second question was 20 years, and 20 years we've had Regency Mall as an issue. I'll go back to the same story. If you've sat on the clock for the 20 years and watched it, then you bear some responsibility. Who has the innovative ideas to bring Regency Mall up to date? If you had them, where are they? Why haven't they happened? Because it takes in a government like we have the ability to work with people. Not just showing up, not just laughing, not just making jokes. This is serious business. And if you want somebody to go in and figure out how to move someone like the owner of Regency Mall to a place where he's going to do something for you, then you better choose somebody who understands what they're doing. Somebody who's done that before. Somebody who can demonstrate it for you. This is not a game for you. We don't have the opportunity, we don't have the need to wait 20 years again and be talking about this again. I'm 53 years old, and when I turn 73, I plan to retire and be sitting there like you and hoping this city is a lot better. You elect me, we'll have a different mayor, we'll have a different city government. Thank you.
Brother Henry, you have the Regency Mall question.
Yes, sir.
And Brother Johnson, you have the Regency Mall question as well.
All right, Regency Mall. Well, I'm one of the original supporter, one of the original fans of the concept of the James Brown Arena being out at the old Regency Mall site. I wish it was there. I still think it should be there. But in the condition that it's in now, I just wish we could just tear down half of what's left and redevelop the remaining. I do believe in mixed-use communities. I have a vision of the mall having lofts on the first level, shopping and dining and entertainment on the lower level. We also have the infrastructure, for parks, a little small mini park. It's just going to take a cooperative effort between the government and private developers in order to make this happen. But first, we have to do our job as the government and take siege of that building, because right now it's a cancer to South Augusta. So I think my first order of business is to really try to put teeth, or help put teeth, in our blight enforcement. I think the ownership should pay back any monies that that's due to us, and heck, I have no problem taking possession of that building if it was all possible. But I'm in a dream world right now. But at the end of the day, we need to do something besides talk about the Regency Mall. We either going to tear it down and flatten it and get it ready for new development, or either we're going to go into a cooperation with the private developers and make something happen. Thank you.
Regency Mall, I pass it every day on my way to work. And as you know, Regency Mall is owned by a private company named Cardinal. And a while back, last I heard, they wanted $50-some-odd million for it. Well, the city of Augusta taxes all that property for somewhere $2 to $3 million. Well, I guarantee you, if we tax them like it's worth $50 million, they're going to do something real quick with that property, and they're either going to sell it to us at a reasonable price, or they're going to do something with it themselves. Now, we could either go that route, but until then, any dream there, any vision is a pipe dream, whether it be a new James Brown Arena, a golf course, lofts, shopping, whatever that may be. And at the end of the day, our first priority has got to be getting that place torn down and cleaned up. And what we can do is we got to give the Marshals Department and code enforcement, we got to open up the floodgates and let them just go to town and force Cardinal to do something with that property or sell it to us at a reasonable price. Let's get the place torn down, let's get it cleaned up, then we can regroup and figure out what we're going to put there. Thank you.
We're getting ready to conclude. Have another question. We all know that the city of Augusta moves and flows with the authority of the commissioners, knowing that the mayor has very little independent authority away from the commissioners. Why are you interested in becoming the mayor when we all see daily on the news that the commissioners are somewhat divided? Brother Johnson.
Why do I want to become mayor? Well, to be honest, anyone that watches the news, it probably isn't happy with the state of our city's government. I know I'm not. You know, someone has to be an advocate for the people. Someone has to keep things on the agenda. Someone's got to do the right thing. And my parents and grandparents raised me to do the right thing even when no one was watching. And I know that someone's got to step up, and I'm willing to do so. I'm willing to be honest, transparent, and accountable to each and every voter and each and every citizen in Richmond County. And I want to make Augusta a better place for me and my family, and I want to make it a better place for yours too. Thank you.
Again, Pastor, that's a great question. And I think I was just thinking along those lines, why do I want to be the mayor? Someone just stated a while ago about being in office and stuff get done, but you got to realize how the process works. Now, 3 of us up on this dais being elected. I don't know about the school board, and I really don't know much about the tax commission, but the commission really have the authority and the powers in their hands. You got 10 members of the commission and the mayor. The mayor is a member of the commission as well, but he should have a vision. He should be able to keep things on the agenda. He should be able to bring stuff back. And what we have not had much conversation about what's good or bad. Stuff get voted up or down. I mean, I take a lot of criticism, and I don't mind that. But I've been an advocate about letting the people know what is going on. And that's really all you can do as one individual elected official. Yeah, you gotta if you get 6 votes, you ain't gotta count to 10. If you can count to 6, that's as far as you can go. You don't need to go no further. But when you can't get 6 to come together to move some things forward, then you gotta keep repeating it over and over and over. So why do I want to be mayor? Because I think I got a vision for this city, and I would love to lead the city better than I found it. I hadn't tricked anybody. I hadn't misused any money. I hadn't did anything that, and I've been investigated as much as anybody else been investigated now. Let me put that out there first. But because I'm an advocate about change, and you can't just change it by thinking about it. First of all, you got to have a conversation. I know you done had plenty of council sessions, Reverend, and when you got to first talk about these issues. And most people don't want to talk about it, say, well, I want to be about it. You can't be about other folks' business. This ain't 1 or 2 people. This is the city of Augusta, and you got to deal with those people. So that's why I want to be the mayor, because I think I'm a visionary. I think I got a lot of great ideas I want to put out. Not that they're the best one, but somebody got to put something. And if there's one thing that the commission, the president or past can tell you they brought to the commission and talked about it, I want to see it.
I've heard many people say tonight, experience is the validator. Well, in actuality, with this question about the mayor having power, not having power, I think, once again, when it comes to consolidation, what has happened to the city of Augusta is we have allowed, and we are allowing, and I understand when we take ownership, where 10 people have become their own personal mayors, their own personal leaders, because they are supposed to represent their particular districts. Well, guess what? That's a great thing. That is what you're supposed to do. But what you're not supposed to do is to make sure that, number one, others get left out. So as the mayor is to bring in leadership that evokes a change that says, I represent the people. And since I represent the people and not one particular district, then therefore it is my responsibility, when voted in as a mayor, that number one, to consolidate our government, to bring us all together and bring that same message so that we can get those 6 votes. Because we need 6 votes to change our city and change us. Augusta, thank you once again for tonight.
Right. Again, I'm Robert Ingham, wishing to be goodwill ambassador for Augusta. Just very little authority away from the county commission. Like lambasting the American president. See the polls. He's doing something and he's using it, but it's with the people that is working for him. The casualty rate for January the 6th activities is obviously still being put in spectrum as a media pitfall. It's pitiful, shameful to demean the person who should represent Augusta when heard.
Brother, can you hold it down, please, out there?
I apologize, brother. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Black is beautiful, brother.
All right, thank you.
And I love black.
All right, all right.
Let me repeat a little bit of it. It is pitiful, shameful to demean the person who should represent Augusta when heard. This person stands out among the crowd, and when something happens, like any other city, larger or smaller, they will project the theme that things will get better, but this is the way it is, and hopefully we will reach that particular goal in this communications that was just taking place. Thank you.
While Steve is getting ready to answer the question, oftentimes what I'm going to do, young people get left out of the government. You all have written down some questions. I'm going to give them to this young lady and let her look at them. And any questions she wants me to present to the candidates, that's what I'm going to do. She's going to look at the questions and read them. And the one she gives me, that's the one that I'm going to present. And that will be the conclusion of this forum.
Can you repeat the question?
I forgot what I asked you.
I think it was about leadership.
Okay. Knowing that the mayor has very little authority, independent authority, and working with the commissioners, why would you be interested in becoming the mayor with very little independent decision making?
So what most of us learn about leadership in our lives is leadership is not really based on direct authority. Leadership comes when people choose to follow you when they have a choice not to. We all belong to organizations in which we aren't the authoritative leader, and yet we find a way to get things done. We find a way to move our objectives. We find a way in the Sand Hills Neighborhood Association, whether you're the president, the vice president, or any member, to move things in a direction because you work with folks. We don't make excuses because we don't have a direct authority as to why things don't happen. So I'll lead with that type of attitude in which I don't have to have direct authority to get people to work with me to get things done. All the commissioners work under that same umbrella. Yeah, Jordan Johnson is here, and he was able to work on the homeless task force and get that project moving along. It took 6 people to help him with that. Francine Scott was here, and they did a non-discrimination ordinance. It's funny how we found 6 people to work with her on that. When you advocate and have an idea, and you're willing to humble yourself and go and work with others and say, hey, I've got an idea and I need your help with it. It's funny how things get done. Don't believe the ideas that just because you don't have authority, things don't work. It all works when we work together and we work with one another in trying to move our ideas forward. And so everything I've done, everything I've accomplished with the work of others, and I'll do the very same thing as your mayor. I'll work with that commission to make sure we get those things done.
I want to be mayor of Augusta, first and foremost, because I love my city. Second, I want to be mayor of Augusta to serve you in the same capacity that I'm serving you and my children now, our children now, in the school system. Every day I'm tasked with making decisions about 30,000 students, 4,400 employees, and over $700 million. Every day I'm making decisions or being part of decisions in reference to our infrastructure. Every day I'm dealing with taxpayers. I want to serve you on a higher capacity because I want to bring that experience over because I too have a vision for my city. And that vision is going to take the cooperation of you and the commissioners and our employees. At the end of the day, I'm going to be the mayor that wants to make things happen. You ask why I want to be the mayor of Augusta? Because I'm tested, I'm chiseled, and I'm refined in public service, and there's no better job than to serve the people that you love. Thank you.
The question that she picked: how do you plan to unite the commissioners and move Augusta forward? 1 minute.
1 minute. How do I plan to unite the commissioner? Well, the first thing we have to do is find out exactly what we have in common. And what we're going to find, in my opinion, is going to be that we all want the best for Augusta. And instead of, trying to figure out our differences and fix those differences, we need to figure out what is it that we have in common and what can we build on. Everyone wants the same things. We all want better facilities, better schools, safer neighborhoods. We all need to work together, figure out and build on those common ground items to build a better and brighter future for Augusta. Thank you.
Thank you. Marion. 1 minute, please.
I agree that we have to work together for sure, but let me say this: when you got 8 commissioners and 2 super district commissioners, you got districts that you supporting and you fighting for, so you trying to make sure they get their fair share. It had not always been that way. It had not always been where we can come together and say, well, you know what, you did something on that side of town, let's do something on this side of town. Look like one party has always gotten what they needed, and the other part of the been left out. So I'm here to communicate what we did, the commissioners, explain what we're trying to do, and then bring it to the table so we can vote on it. And if it doesn't happen, we'll vote on it again, and again.
Thank you.
And again.
Thank you. And again.
Marion, they gonna vote on it again?
And I truly believe that the first thing that we need to do as far as is, of course, for the mayor to meet with them. The other thing is, and they can correct me if they want or if they need to, because I truly want to be right if I'm in that wrong. There's a super district person over each of the commission. I need to know whether or not they meet amongst themselves. They need to identify their needs and things of that sort. The meeting does not just need to be on that day, but there needs to be some meetings strictly between those who are coming about upon a certain day. So once again, Augusta is going to come together at the table, and that's what a leader does, to bring them together. Thanks.
Thank you. Brother Ingram.
Unite the commissioners to get things done. There are examples in our particular county, you're locking down vacant abandoned houses in the inner city, still not complete, finished project, Regency Mall. In the good old days, they used to work on private driveways that your prisoners or the people that were forsaken by mistake of identity as far as being put and being incarcerated. November the 22nd is a good example. I was in a world history class and that I was sure somebody was escaping from some sort of project of cleaning up the city. And when they said that JFK was just shot, and I was looking forward for him to completing his particular presidential bid and being reelected. However, I folded over in a chair and it was a little bit emotional. And you normally don't see somebody that's 2 years older than the rest of the class doing that. But we relied a great deal on this particular person to exemplify our new spirit that has come about through the space program and any other thing that was connected to it, including our CEK rations. They were actually part of the project of eating lunch through the space program that was provided for us. I'm looking forward really to see our new president, who's got 36 years in the Senate, 8 years as vice president, and had some terrible things happening to his personal family.
Close it out for me.
And we're looking forward to a better day. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve.
You bring the commission together as you bring any group together by serving them so that you too can get what you need to get done. My daughters came and asked me several times to take the car and go somewhere, and they keep coming and asking over and over, and I keep telling them the same answer, no and no, because the room isn't clean. It's called insanity to keep asking the same question over and over again and nobody changes anything. It requires work. It requires to go in and do the work with the commission and talk to the commission. You don't just put it back on the agenda and ask again. You go back and you change the idea. You rework the idea. You do some back and forth so everybody can get what they want. So all the particular areas can be improved. That's what it takes to run government. It takes all the individual districts all coming up at the same time. And if District 1 is feeling like they're being underrepresented and District 2 is getting too much, then somehow as the mayor who represents all the districts, you got to work with all of them to get it done. I won't just be placing it back on the agenda. I'll be working behind the scenes to make sure everybody gets what they want so that you all can move forward. That's how you work with a commission who is divided together. You bring them together, teach them that there's something in common we all need to work for, and then the community moves forward.
Thank you. Last question. Last answer.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Currently, in my role as your school board president, outside of myself, I deal with 9 elected officials. Every day, there's going to be a difference of opinion. My job is to bring something that's going to pass, something that's going to be good for our system, that's going to be good for the county. We're not always going to get along. I wish we could, but if we all got along, something is missing. I enjoy hearing the differences of opinion and connecting the dots and bringing something back that's palatable, that you as the citizen will appreciate and that we all can agree on. So as far as getting the commissioners to work together, I will have that same mindset. Let's sit down, let me talk to everybody, let me be the point of contact to bring the differences together, and hopefully we can get 10 votes, but if not, I'm definitely working for 6 so we can serve the public better. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. We want to thank all of the candidates for coming today. Let's give them all a hand. Let's give them all a hand. We wish you well, and we hope and pray that you will stay committed, stay truthful to the people who elect you. We want to thank the Sand Hill Neighborhood Association for putting on this forum. At this time, we will have comments right quick. Food vendor is right over behind me. You can go get some hot wings, some french fries. They're not free now, but you can go get some.
I'd like to thank all the candidates for coming out. I'd like to thank the Sand Hill Neighborhood Association and all the other people for coming. And I would really like to thank the Royal Bees, the little kids, because if you don't raise them up now, they won't be out there with Dr. Lori Miles. So we're trying to keep them away from things, and Ms. Bonita was Johnny on the spot by saying yes, and thanks so much.
As we leave, let us leave with prayer. Let us leave with prayer. Our God, our Father, we thank you for this forum. We thank you for the community. We thank you for the individuals who put together this forum. We pray now for each candidate. We pray that the integrity will forever drive them to remember that they are working for the people and not themselves. We pray now, God, for Augusta. We ask that we would continue to realize that you are in charge. Bless each person that's here tonight, and bless each home that's represented. We ask all of these blessings in Christ's name. Amen. Good night, and we thank you for coming and being a part of the forum.